Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my ReCore walkthrough. This is mission 15. You'll notice I'm going back into the pylon dungeon that we were in at the beginning of the game, because if you remember, when we killed the boss behind him, there was a track for Seth, but of course we didn't have Seth. Now we do. Prismatic, call me, bitch. That's one more in our collection. And then we're going to be going to a dungeon called the Crucible, which I think is literally a fight. Because if the Crucible isn't a fight, they missed a trick. And it's just at the back of this dungeon as well, so it's in the same area. I'm hoping that you know the areas if you're having trouble finding things, because then you can just watch the video, see the area, and understand where I am. The game is not that complicated. I trust that you have the skills to do that. And I also trust that you're not watching this because you need help. You're watching this because you like the channel. Or maybe you're looking to see if the game's worthwhile. Whereas, I'm not too sure why you'd be watching the 15th video, but, you know, you do what you want. You're a rebel without a cause. But to go back to what I was saying in the last video with adding systems, what would you have added, kind viewer? You know, what would you have done to mix up the way that the gameplay works, to make it so that it's more than just aim and shoot the simulator with occasional jumpy bits and questionable roadblocks? So here is a puzzle where you step on the plate and you have to get over there before the timer goes, and at first I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was fast. Am I meant to do this? And it's for a life upgrade, so it's not the end of the world if you miss it, but I'm going to do it because I'm quite stubborn that way. But I'm curious as to what you would add, because I can think of a million things just off of the top of my head, and that's not without even really trying. Like, this game features an affinity system of colours. They could have gone full Ikaruga with this. They could have made it so that if you were a certain colour, you could absorb certain ammunition, but the other ammunition damaged you. And they could have put you into environments where even the ground itself was colour-coded, so you could only move across it with certain affinities equipped, because if you didn't, you took damage. And it could have been a whole host of systems coming together to make a really complicated yet simple and complex puzzle action game. And it would have been great. And they did the legwork. All the colours are there. The affinity system's there. They just didn't develop it. They left it at bare minimum, and bare minimum in these days isn't enough. Unless you're a sports game. Because those fans are insane, aren't they? They just like playing the same thing every year with, oh, now he's got hairs on his testes. Great. Just what I wanted to see. A close-up angle on a game where I spend the entire time at the angle of a fucking floodlight. Oh, that's a laser beam. Be careful. But this is the Crucible. Once again, you're on a timer. You're going to need a yellow key, and you're going to need 8 switches. I remember this as well, because I believe I didn't find the final key, so I had to do this again. But the good news is, because this is just encounters, and it's encounters against enemies that are a little bit high level, you know, for our area, it's going to enable us to level up quite effectively. So that's pretty cool. But it seems interesting that they didn't implement bosses and enemies that required you to do very specific things to beat them. Like, one of the bosses in this game does this interesting thing where he kind of blinds you, and he turns the game monochrome, he turns it black and white. And I don't really like the look of it, because this is a really colourful game, and I think that's one of its, you know, qualities. It's a beautiful game in a lot of ways. Sure, the textures are not the best and this and that, but the game looks nice. It's a nice, colourful game. It's a strength of the game. So, of course, the best thing you want to do is paint it with a dog-shit black and white brush. But I think what they were going for is they wanted it to be a puzzle to see what colour you needed to use, because, of course, without the colour system, you can't tell what colour the enemies are meant to be. You know, there could have been neutral enemies that don't have any colour, and you have to switch between your affinities to see which one does the damage. Because it's very easy to spot. Just look for the one that gives you coloured numbers, and that means you're on the right path. But it's something that they never really elaborated with. I was surprised to see the anchor as well. When the anchor was introduced in this game, I thought there was going to be moments where we would be attacking an enemy, stunning them, and then pulling their armour off. And then we would maybe pull their arm off, and it would change their pattern, and then we'd maybe pull their leg off, and then we would get their core, or something like that. You know, I thought there would be more to this anchor. A giant enemy would appear, you would fight it, you would stun it, and then you would use your anchor to pull it down. And just imagine if your robot helped you pull. How cute would that fucking be if Duncan and everybody are just, and Seth's there with you holding onto the anchor as you're pulling it in a super super epic moment, akin to, you know, in Dragon Ball Z where they're all doing Kamehamehas and they're all together and it's like, come on, we gotta do this. Like, it could have been great. It never happens, not even once. Just imagine Seth like slipping and falling over and then running back and grabbing it to help you and stuff. Just these awesome animations that could have happened, and they didn't happen, Kaiji. I don't know how to say that dude's name. Oh, because it's that thing, isn't it? There are times when I think, am I just too cynical with games? Have I got to the point where I should probably stop? Stop, Chris, before you become the villain. We all saw Dark Knight. But I don't feel like I am. I feel like I just want... I expect more. Because I want more. And I don't feel like that's selfish. I feel like it's how it should be. I feel like it's the natural order. Oh, notice, guys, I've got 30 seconds left, and I need one switch. The switch is directly behind me to my right. It's behind an outcropping of rocks, but I have no idea, and I'm going to miss it. So you're going to see me editing where it was, because I did this again, and I didn't want to show you the full fight. It's just there to the left of the doorway. Just over there where I'm looking just then, it's behind the rocks. Cheeky as fuck. But you'll get it. It's not the hardest thing. But once you come in here, of course, it kind of voids it, which is unfortunate. And this is one of the rare instances where the switch is the prismatic orb, I think. But if you think about it long enough and you get creative enough, there's a lot of things you would have thought they would have done with this game. Like your friends, your Corebot fellas, they have one lethal attack, and then they have their standard ability, which generally means that they run around smacking stuff. They never evolve. They never get an extra ability. They never get a different ability, so there's a choice, a strategical choice. You know, they never really go anywhere. It's a game that starts as simple as it ends, in a lot of ways. The only real change is the affinities. You get different affinities, you get more friends, but it's founded on a borderline of simplicity, which is not a bad thing. Some of the best games in the world are simple. That's what makes them so majestic. Easy to learn, difficult to master. But I feel like this is a game that would have really benefited from it. Like, for some reason, I thought Duncan was going to throw Jewel around. I don't know why, but whenever I see a kind of gorilla-type creature in a game, I always feel like I'll be riding its shoulder / being thrown up to high ledges and stuff. But once again, it never materialised in the game, so I was slightly underwhelmed. I also, for some reason, thought that this game would have had some kind of hoverboard. I thought you would have had a fast way to traverse around the wasteland, where you could just, you know, hold a button and she'd pull out some form of travel. An upgrade to your boots with your dash, you know, to give you a better dash, or a longer dash, or a different kind of dash. You know, maybe different dash affinities that have different functions. One that boosts you upwards, one that boosts you forwards, and maybe one that slowly hovers or something, or gives you twice the distance, but has a longer recharge, you know. They could have gone a lot of ways with it. There are plenty of things you can think of. But that was the Switch and the next core, so we'll pull that bad boy out, and we're one step closer to having enough to get to the underwhelming end. Although it must be said, the tower is really fun. You know, I was reading on IGN before I got this game that apparently at the end of the game there is a massive difficulty spike that comes out of nowhere. And I was thinking, oh wow, that's probably going to be really hard. And then I got to it, and it's not hard at all. It's just taxing. It demands you to do precise platforming in a platforming game, which is what they're about. So once again, IGN proves its credibility of being a bunch of scrubs, which is very sad. And if you're listening to this, representative of IGN, I am hireable. I am a free agent. If you want some integrity and some skill in your company, talk to me. I will Mel Gibson the shit out of that for you. Road Warrior, son. Thank you for watching. You take care now.